So last night I watched a video with Boyce Watkins, good old Boyce Watkins, and in the video he said some things that were kind of really frustrating to watch, really irritating. It really shows his ignorance towards racism, towards what it's like being white. He shows his ignorance towards culture. It it really just got to me. So I just wanted to hop on to a video response to a short clip. He says a lot of baloney out there, and he says a lot of stuff that I totally disagree with. But I'm not gonna, I can't go individually one by one. It will just take too long. But here's a little clip. I think this clip is an underlying is the underlying thing of racism, is the underlying principles of racism, and it really gets to the heart of, I believe, his racism. So I'm going to show the clip, and then I'll do a commentary afterwards. Here we go.
You know what? There are still things happening today that link directly to the past. Why? Because cultural memory is a tough thing to erase. As much as you want to disavow your daddy and your granddaddy and act like you ain't got nothing to do with them, that's absolute, total, complete bullshit. You have everything to do with your parents and grandparents. Everything. So, at the end of the day, when if my granddaddy was sitting there lynching black people and taking taking his children to family picnics with a black man hanging from a tree with his balls cut off, and we never got any significant racial therapy to deal with the fact that we inexplicably have this amazing, extraordinary hatred for black people for no damn reason at all. No reason at all. Really, I mean, it's the craziest thing. What do you have against me? You just met me, man. You don't even know me, but you want to kill me. That's sick. That's the mindset of some sort of serial killer. It's crazy. And if you haven't gotten any racial therapy in your family to change those traditions, then guess what? That those same attitudes are being passed down from one generation to the next. No different from the way they'd like to talk about us and talk about generations of welfare, the welfare cycle and all that. And y'all know that's real. I mean, you got families out here where it's like the grandmama, the mama, and the baby all on welfare together, right? Because it's just kind of like what they might want to do because that's all they know, right? Or families where you have generations of entrepreneurs. My mother was an entrepreneur. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. My great grandfather was an entrepreneur. So I'm an entrepreneur. Those traditions pass down. The Jewish community, they have traditions. They have cultural memory that goes back thousands of years. So if you were to somehow talk about the Jewish community in 2016 and disconnect them from the Jewish community in 1608, you'd be sadly mistaken because they're deeply connected. So, long story short.
So Boyce Watkins goes off on a lot of stuff here. But let's start at the beginning. He says cultural memory is a tough thing to erase. Well, that's fine. We're not here to change your memory or erase any memories. I think memory and history is a very important thing to have. But what we want to do is to change philosophies and attitudes. Those are the two most important things to change. Cynthia G, Rasan Delay also goes into this. They're a little more extreme than Watkins. Watkins says cultural memory, Cynthia G, Rasan Delay, and other blacks out there. I don't know. I don't really watch. I try to watch a varying topic, varying YouTubers out there. They say it's in your DNA. All this memory and all this stuff, it's in your DNA, and you can't change your DNA. This is the stuff you can't change. Watkins says it is difficult to change. Well, how does he know? How does he know how difficult cultural things are to change? How does he know how difficult racist things are to change? It's kind of interesting that he makes this. I think he might be projecting on a lot of things here. If we look at this, this is the underlying thing of racism. You are who you are, and you really can't change your attitude, your philosophies, or your behaviors. Watkins, being a little more moderate, might say it's hard to change your attitude, philosophies, or your behaviors, even from one generation to another generation. If we really look at this, we know this is a bunch of baloney, because we see it all the time. We see these changes all the time. People changing religions, changing their going from atheist to one religion or between religions. So we know this is false. We know people change all the time their attitudes, especially from one generation to the next. When people start to think, when people start to ponder what they're doing, and they don't think it's right, then they do change. And that's the most important thing here that I want to talk about is the changing things that are wrong and that you believe are wrong. And when we think about it, racism is wrong. He also then goes off on this tangent about hating him for, or hating people for no damn reason. Well, people, this is absolutely amazing to me, because there's always been reasons to hate one group or another. There's always been reasons. And so when you come across, I mean, it could be either founded or unfounded, they're taking our jobs or whatever. There's always been a reason. But here's the thing. When I come across a person, I already know the person that I've never met. I already know the person because they are who they are. It's in their DNA, and they can't change that. I know your culture. I know your cultural memory. Therefore, you can't change that, and I already know who you are. So, this fundamental ignorance of racism is what really blows my mind about Boyce Watkins. Hating people for no damn reason. That's false. That's absolutely false. It's the prejudice of I already know who you are, and I know your behavior, your attitudes, and your principles that makes me hate who you are. That is the underlying principle, and that is the underlying principle of all this racism. And then he goes off saying we need racial therapy? What the hell is that? What's racial therapy? I mean, this is absolutely false. I mean, since the beginning of, attitudes changing towards slavery, did those people have some type of racial therapy? Or did they just think things through and say, you know what, this is what we're doing here is wrong, and we need to change it? And this is the whole thing with culture. Culture, I think, is the greatest thing ever. I think it's great to have culture, being connected to the past, connected to ideas and things. And the deal about culture is that you keep what works and you throw off what doesn't. You keep the good and you toss the bad. And that way you can keep growing as a culture into something great. Let's get the examples he talked about, like the welfare cycle. If that's all you know, then that's all you know. You can't do anything about that. But we do know better, especially in racial issues. We do know better. We can think about that, and we do know better. So this is absolutely false. His cultural analysis on the welfare cycle is absolutely false. You do. If this is all you know, then this is all you know. But for the racial thing, we do know better. Generations of entrepreneurs, that's a good example, because that one, the reason why you have generations of entrepreneurs is because you know what works, and you keep what works, and you throw away what doesn't work, and you throw away what is bad. This is what makes culture so awesome. and to say that people aren't able to think for themselves and to throw off what's bad racially, to not understand and think about, this is what we're doing here. Lynching people is wrong. We can't do that. I mean, and we can't change from that. Oh, that is just an absolute baloney. You know, for the Jews also, the Jews have a great, very rich culture, and I'm sure it didn't come overnight. You know, coming up with this culture, because what you need to do, keep what's good and throw away what's bad. And we see this all the time, with families. You can't just pin someone on a certain family, oh, they're this religion, even though people change religions all the time within families. People change all the time thinking, what their fathers have done is wrong. This happens all the time, and this just shows the ignorance of Boyce Watkins. I just wanted to bring this out. It is just absolute. This is the basis of all things racist. And good old racist Boyce Watkins out there just wanted to bring this up for you guys to ponder and think about for yourselves. All right, bye. Just a little quick end note. We can see Boyce Watkins' attitude towards certain people, especially white people, and we can start to see why he doesn't really have any healthy relationships with white people, or in that he always likes to be with black people because of the certain goggles, these certain glasses that he's wearing towards these certain groups. And I can't help but think what he gets what he deserves. I mean, with his glasses, all he sees out there is this dystopia, and he kind of built this dystopia. So I think he kind of deserves this world he's living in. And I just want people out there not to follow this example and not to create your own little dystopian world because of your attitudes and not being able to form these healthy relationships with other people of different races and groups. All right. Just wanted, this is my final endos. Bye.